It was a joke. I need everyone to understand that right from the start. It was a joke. A hypothetical. A celebrity-free pass. Something literally everyone talks about. Something that's in movies and TV shows and magazine articles. Something that's completely, totally, obviously not real. I didn't actually plan to sleep with Timothée Chalamet. I mean, obviously. He's a celebrity, an actor, someone I will never meet, someone who doesn't know I exist. The entire concept of a celebrity-free pass is that it's impossible. That's what makes it safe. That's what makes it a joke instead of a threat. Everyone has celebrity crushes. Everyone has that one famous person they think is attractive. That's normal. That's human. That's not cheating, or planning to cheat, or wanting to cheat. It's just acknowledging that attractive people exist in the world, which is literally undeniable. My husband is overreacting because he's insecure. That's what this is really about. His inability to handle the fact that I find other people attractive, his possessiveness, his jealousy, his need to control even my hypothetical fantasies about people I'll never meet. And it's not my fault Timothée Chalamet is attractive. That's objective reality. Millions of people think he's attractive. I'm not special or weird for thinking that. I'm just honest about it. Unlike other people who pretend they only have eyes for their partner and nobody else exists, I'm real about human nature. I was being playful, not disrespectful. There's a difference. Joking around about impossible scenarios is normal couple behavior. It's how you keep things light and fun. It's how you avoid taking everything so seriously all the time. But apparently, my husband doesn't understand the difference between fantasy and reality. If you can't joke about celebrity crushes without your partner losing their mind, maybe the relationship has bigger problems. Maybe the foundation is already weak. Maybe the insecurity was always there, and I just brought it to the surface. That's not my fault. That's his issue to work through. I sound confident as I tell you this. I sound sure of myself and my position, like I know I'm right and he's wrong. But my voice cracks a little when I get to what happened next, because what happened next was so far beyond anything I could have predicted that even now, weeks later, I still don't fully believe it happened. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. We're out to dinner with another couple, Mark and Jessica, friends from his work. Nice restaurant, good food, conversation flowing easily, wine with dinner. The kind of evening that's supposed to be relaxing and social and fun. Somehow the conversation turns to celebrity crushes. I don't even remember how we got there. Maybe someone mentioned a movie. Maybe Jessica brought up an actor she likes. But suddenly we're all laughing and naming celebrities we think are attractive, and it's light and playful, and exactly the kind of conversation people have over dinner and drinks. Jessica says Ryan Gosling. Mark says Margot Robbie. My husband, after thinking for a moment, says Emma Stone. Everyone laughs. It's all very casual and comfortable. Then Jessica turns to me. What about you? Who's your celebrity free pass? And I don't even hesitate. I say it with a smile, with confidence, like it's the most natural answer in the world. Oh, definitely, Timothée Chalamet. 100%. Jessica laughs and agrees. Yes, good choice. Mark makes a joke about how every woman their age has the same answer. Everyone's smiling. It's exactly the kind of light, fun conversation it's supposed to be. Except my husband isn't smiling, isn't laughing. His face has gone completely still, not angry, not hurt, just blank, empty, like something shut down behind his eyes. I notice, but I don't think much of it. Maybe he's not familiar with who Timothée Chalamet is. Maybe he's just not engaged in this particular conversation. Whatever. It's fine. The dinner continues. We finish our meal. We say goodbye to Mark and Jessica in the parking lot. We get in the car to drive home, and the whole time, my husband is silent. Not angry silent, just absent, like he's thinking about something else entirely. We get home. He walks straight to his laptop, opens it, starts typing. I'm in the kitchen putting leftovers away, assuming he's checking work email or something. Then he calls my name. His voice is calm, too calm. That terrifying calm that means something is very wrong. I walk into the living room. He turns the laptop to face me. On the screen is a photo, a woman I recognize immediately. My coworker, Sarah. The one who sits 3 desks away from me. The one I have lunch with sometimes. The one I've mentioned probably 100 times over the past 2 years. That's Sarah, I say, confused. Why do you have a photo of Sarah? He looks at me with those empty eyes and says, in that same too calm voice, she's my free pass. My stomach drops so fast I feel dizzy. What? You said Timothée Chalamet was your free pass. So Sarah is mine. She's real. She's accessible. And unlike your celebrity crush, I can actually act on mine. The room starts spinning. You're joking. Am I? You set the precedent. You said free passes are acceptable. You made the rules. I'm just playing by them. Okay, I need to explain why this is completely different because apparently that needs to be spelled out. What I said and what he's threatening are not even remotely the same thing. Timothée Chalamet is a celebrity, an actor, a famous person I will never meet. The entire concept is hypothetical. It's impossible. It's fantasy. That's the whole point of the celebrity free pass conversation. It's safe because it can never happen. Sarah is a real person. Someone we both know. Someone I work with every day. Someone who exists in our actual lives in a real, tangible way. That's not hypothetical. That's not impossible. That's a real, actual threat. I tried to explain this to him immediately. That's not the same thing. Celebrity crushes are different. Everyone knows that. It's not a real free pass. It's just a fun conversation. He just looked at me calmly and said, so you get to have fantasies, but I don't. You get to publicly announce who you'd cheat with, but I have to pretend nobody else is attractive. That seems unfair. It's not about fairness. It's about reality. Timothée Chalamet is never going to happen. Sarah could happen. That's the difference. Exactly, he said. My free pass is actually usable. Yours isn't. If anything, mine is more honest. I was starting to panic then. This didn't feel like a joke anymore. This felt real. You can't be serious. You can't actually be planning to... He held up his phone, showed me Sarah's Instagram profile. I already sent her a message, told her you said it was okay, told her we have an open arrangement, asked if she'd be interested in getting coffee to discuss it. My blood actually ran cold. You did not. Tell me you didn't actually message her. Why not? You established that free passes are acceptable. You said it in front of witnesses. You made it a public statement. So I'm taking you at your word. I need to give you some context because this seems like it came out of nowhere. But looking back now, maybe it didn't. Maybe there were signs I ignored because I didn't want to see them. I've mentioned Timothée Chalamet before. Multiple times. Maybe more than multiple times. I've shown my husband clips from movies. I've made comments about his interviews. I've mentioned him when we watch award shows. I thought it was harmless. Just me being honest about finding someone attractive. And I've talked about Sarah at work, a lot. Because she's my closest work friend. We have lunch together. We collaborate on projects. We text about work stuff. I've told my husband stories about funny things she said or projects we worked on together. She's been part of my work life for 2 years. I even showed him her Instagram once. Pointed out photos from a work event. Said something like, "This is Sarah, the one I always tell you about." He looked at the photos. Made some neutral comment. I didn't think anything of it. But looking back now, I remember things. Small things I dismissed at the time. He once asked, after I'd been talking about Timothée Chalamet for probably the 10th time, "Do you ever get tired of talking about people you'll never meet?" I laughed it off, said, "It's just fun to have crushes. It doesn't mean anything." Another time, after I'd shown him another Timothée Chalamet interview, he said, "I wonder what it's like to have your partner constantly tell you about other people they find attractive." I told him he was being too sensitive, that everyone has celebrity crushes, that it's normal and healthy, and he should be secure enough to handle it. I didn't see that I was slowly building a case against myself, creating a pattern that would be used against me later, setting a precedent I didn't realize I was setting. After he showed me the message he'd sent to Sarah, I completely panicked, started crying, begging him to delete it, to tell her it was a mistake, to explain that I was joking and he misunderstood. He just sat there calm, too calm. "Why would I delete it? You said free passes are okay. You said it publicly, in front of friends. You established the rule. I'm following it." I was joking. Everyone knows celebrity free passes aren't real. "You never said that at dinner. You just said Timothée Chalamet was your free pass. You didn't add, but it's just theoretical and doesn't count. You stated it as fact, so I'm treating it as fact." I tried everything. Apologizing, explaining, begging. Nothing worked. He just kept repeating variations of the same thing. I set the rules. He was following them. If I didn't mean it, I shouldn't have said it. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Hey, did your husband really just message me something weird? Is everything okay?" I felt like I was going to throw up. She'd seen it. She'd read whatever he sent her. My coworker, who I have to see every single day at work, now knew that my husband was, what, propositioning her? Using me as an excuse? I grabbed my phone to respond, but he stopped me. "Don't. I told her you'd explain everything at work tomorrow, that this was your idea, that you're the one who wanted to open things up." "You what? You told her this was my idea. You were the one who brought up free passes at dinner, in front of witnesses. So, yes, technically it was your idea." I started crying harder. "This is insane. You're ruining my life over a joke, over one comment at dinner." He finally showed some emotion then. Not anger. Something worse. Disappointment. "I'm not ruining your life. I'm taking you at your word. You said free passes were acceptable. You said it casually, confidently, like it was obvious and normal. So I'm treating it as obvious and normal. But I meant a celebrity, someone impossible. That's convenient for you, isn't it? You get to publicly fantasize about someone you find more attractive than me, but it's okay because it's impossible. But if I mention someone real and accessible, suddenly that's crossing a line. How is that fair?" That was 5 weeks ago, 35 days of living in a nightmare that started with a casual dinner conversation and somehow ended with my entire life in shambles. 35 days of waking up in a house that doesn't feel like home anymore, next to a husband who treats me like a polite stranger, going to a job where everyone whispers about me. He actually followed through. Not with physically doing anything with Sarah. At least I don't think so. I honestly don't know anymore, and the not knowing is its own special torture. But with making sure everyone knew what I'd said and what the implications were. He called Mark and Jessica the next day. I heard him on the phone, his voice perfectly calm and reasonable. "Hey, I was thinking about our conversation at dinner last night. Just wanted to confirm something. You remember her saying Timothée Chalamet was her free pass, right? Yeah. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't misremembering. Thanks." They confirmed it. Of course they confirmed it. It was exactly what I'd said. He thanked them and hung up. Then, an hour later, he posted something on social media. Not explicit, not accusatory, just vague enough to seem normal to people who weren't involved, but clear enough to everyone who was there. Interesting conversations about celebrity crushes and free passes. Really makes you think about fairness and double standards in relationships. grateful for honest discussions that reveal people's true values. Jessica called me within 3 hours. Okay, what the hell is going on? Your husband's post seems really pointed. Did something happen after dinner? Is everything okay between you guys? I tried to explain, tried to tell her about the Sarah message, about how he was using my joke against me, about how he was being deliberately vindictive. But even as I said it, I could hear how it sounded. I could hear the skepticism in her voice. But you did say free passes were okay, right? Like, you established that as a thing. It was about a celebrity. Everyone knows those aren't real. Did you say that part? Did you specify it was only celebrities and not real people? I hadn't. I just said Timothée Chalamet was my free pass. Full stop. No qualifications, no asterisks, just a confident declaration that apparently everyone took at face value. So he's pointing out that if free passes are acceptable, then his should count too. That seems... I see his point. That was when I realized Jessica wasn't on my side, that she thought he was being reasonable and I was being hypocritical, that this wasn't going to blow over the way I hoped. Work became a nightmare immediately. Sarah avoided me for 3 straight days, wouldn't make eye contact in the hallway, changed her schedule so we'd never run into each other at lunch, took different elevator banks, basically reorganized her entire routine to avoid me. Finally, on day 4, she cornered me in the bathroom. I was washing my hands, and she came in, locked the door behind her, and just stared at me with this look of complete confusion and anger. What the actual hell was that message your husband sent me? My hand started shaking. I'm so sorry. He said you told him it was okay to pursue me, that you guys had an open relationship, that you wanted him to explore options with someone you knew. What is wrong with you? That's not what happened. I made a joke about a celebrity free pass and he twisted it into... So you told him free passes were acceptable and then got mad when he wanted one with a real person instead of a fantasy. That's incredibly messed up. It's different. Celebrity crushes aren't real. Everyone knows that. She laughed, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. It was harsh and cold. You know what? This is a you problem. Whatever weird stuff you have going on in your marriage, leave me out of it. I have to work with you, and that's already way too much contact for my comfort. Then she unlocked the door and left. My closest work friend, the person I had lunch with almost every day, the person I'd told 1,000 stories to, just walked away like I was toxic waste she needed to avoid. Other people at work found out within days. I don't know exactly how. Maybe Sarah told someone to explain why she was suddenly avoiding me. Maybe someone saw the message exchange. Maybe my husband reached out to more people than I knew about. But suddenly, everyone knew something, and the whispers started. I'd walk into the break room, and conversations would stop mid-sentence. People would suddenly become very interested in their phones or their food. The silence was deafening. The judgment was palpable. Someone, I still don't know who, reported the situation to HR. I got called into a meeting on a Thursday afternoon. 2 HR representatives sat across from me with notepads and serious expressions. We've received a complaint about inappropriate conduct involving a coworker. Can you help us understand what happened? I had to sit there and tell the whole humiliating story. The dinner conversation, my comment about Timothée Chalamet, my husband's response about Sarah, the message he sent, the aftermath. All of it laid out for 2 strangers to judge. They took notes, asked clarifying questions, exchanged meaningful looks with each other. Finally, the senior HR rep said, "While this originated outside of work, it's created a hostile environment for Ms. Patterson. We're going to need to make some adjustments." They didn't fire me, but they strongly recommended, which is HR speak for mandatory, that Sarah and I no longer work directly together, that we keep all interactions strictly professional and work-related only. They moved her to a different team, a different floor, effective immediately. She blamed me for it, completely. sent me one final text. Thanks for ruining my project assignments and my work relationships. Hope whatever weird game you're playing with your husband was worth it. Then she blocked my number. Won't even look at me in the parking lot now. 2 years of friendship destroyed because I made one stupid comment at dinner. At home, he's been perfectly pleasant, perfectly polite, which is somehow infinitely worse than if he were angry or vindictive or overtly punishing me. He makes dinner. He asks about my day. He maintains the house. He's friendly and cordial and treats me exactly like a roommate he's friendly with but not close to. We sleep in separate rooms. He moved to the guest room the night of the Sarah message and hasn't moved back. Says he needs space to process. Says he's thinking about what he wants. Says he's evaluating the relationship. All very calm. All very reasonable. All absolutely terrifying. When I try to talk about what happened, try to explain, it was just a joke, try to get him to understand the difference between celebrity crushes and real people, he just smiles this small, sad smile and says, I know, and I'm just taking you at your word about free passes being acceptable. You were very confident about it at dinner. But I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? Help me understand. You said Timothée Chalamet was your free pass. You said it casually, like it was obvious and normal. In front of friends. Were you lying? Were you trying to hurt me? Or did you genuinely think it was fine to announce you'd cheat with someone if given the chance? I never have a good answer to these questions, because all my answers sound like excuses. It was hypothetical, sounds like I'm trying to have it both ways. Everyone does it, sounds like peer pressure. He's a celebrity, so it doesn't count. Sounds like arbitrary rules I made up to benefit myself. I've asked him directly, 100 times, if he actually did anything with Sarah, if he met up with her, if anything happened beyond that initial message. He just gives me this calm, unreadable look and says, would it matter? You said free passes were acceptable. I'm operating within the framework you established. That's not an answer. Isn't it? You wanted honesty. You wanted openness about attraction. You wanted to establish that finding other people desirable is normal and healthy. So I'm being honest and open. I find Sarah attractive. I always have. And according to your rules, that's perfectly acceptable. The not knowing is torture, pure calculated torture. I don't know if he actually pursued her beyond that message. I don't know if they met for coffee. I don't know if anything physical happened. I don't know if they're still in contact. The ambiguity is deliberate, and it's destroying me. Every single time I see Sarah at work, even from across the office now that we're on different floors, I wonder, did he meet her? Did anything happen? Is she laughing at me? Does she know something I don't? Is she keeping a secret for him? I've lost almost all of our mutual friends. Mark and Jessica stopped responding to my texts after a week. They've unfollowed me on social media. They invited my husband to their house for dinner last week. I saw the photos, but I wasn't included. They chose him. Everyone chose him. Our other couple friends have done the same. They all think I was trying to open the relationship and got upset when he wanted equal treatment. They think I'm hypocritical. They think I'm unfair. They think he's the reasonable one who called out my double standard. Nobody sees it from my perspective. My family doesn't understand either. My mum was horrified when I told her what happened. Why would you say something like that in front of other people? About your husband's coworker? What did you think would happen? Did you want to hurt him? It was about Timothée Chalamet, the celebrity, not Sarah. But you mentioned Sarah too, didn't you? You've talked about her before. You've shown us photos. You've told us how much you like working with her. So when you said free passes were okay, he thought about the people you'd introduced into your lives. That makes sense to me. My sister was even more blunt. Honestly, he has a point. You can't say one thing is okay and then freak out when he applies the same logic. That's the definition of a double standard. Maybe you should have thought before you spoke. My dad just shook his head and changed the subject. Hasn't brought it up since. But I can see the disappointment in his eyes when he looks at me. I can't sleep anymore. 3, maybe 4 hours a night if I'm incredibly lucky. Usually less. Usually I just lie there in our former bedroom, now apparently just my bedroom, staring at the ceiling, replaying that dinner conversation on an endless loop. The question being asked, my immediate answer, the confidence in my voice, the smile on my face, like it was the most natural, harmless thing in the world to say. And then cut to now, cut to this disaster, cut to the ruins of my life, and I try to figure out exactly where it went wrong. I replay every word, every inflection, every assumption, and I realize that I never once considered how it would sound to him, never once thought about how it would feel to hear your spouse confidently announce they'd sleep with someone else given the chance, even if that chance was purely hypothetical. I thought I was being fun, relatable, honest. Turns out I was being hurtful, careless, disrespectful, and I didn't see it until it was far too late. I can't eat normally. Some days I'm so anxious that food tastes like cardboard and my stomach rejects everything. Other days I'm so depressed I eat everything in sight, trying to fill a void that can't be filled with calories. I've lost 15 pounds. My clothes don't fit. People ask if I'm sick. I lie and say I have stomach issues. I've stopped mentioning any celebrity in any context. Won't watch movies with actors I find attractive. Won't comment on anyone's appearance, celebrity or otherwise. Won't engage in any conversation that could possibly be interpreted as me finding anyone other than my husband attractive. I'm terrified of giving him more ammunition, terrified of saying something else that could be twisted or used against me or taken more seriously than I intended. So, I just don't talk about attraction at all anymore. I pretend nobody else exists. I pretend I have eyes only for him. But it's too late anyway. The damage is done. My coworker won't speak to me. My work reputation is destroyed. Half the office thinks I tried to push my husband into an open relationship. The other half thinks I'm a hypocrite who can't handle what I dish out. Either way, I'm the villain. My marriage is in this horrible limbo, not over officially, not healthy in any way, just existing in this state of polite cohabitation where we share space but nothing else, where he's perfectly nice but completely distant, where I have no idea if we're working toward reconciliation or just delaying the inevitable divorce. My therapist, the one I started seeing after week 2 when the panic attacks got too bad to ignore, keeps asking me why I said it, why I felt the need to announce my celebrity crush in front of friends, what I was getting from that admission, what need it fulfilled. I thought I was being honest. Everyone talks about celebrity crushes. But everyone doesn't tell their spouse, in front of witnesses, that they'd sleep with someone else given the opportunity. That's what a free pass means, correct? Permission to cheat. But it was hypothetical. It was a celebrity. Did you specify that to your husband? Did you clarify that this was purely fantasy and not something you'd actually want? I hadn't. I'd just said it, confidently, like it was obvious, and assumed he'd understand the unspoken rules of celebrity crush conversations. Assumed he'd know I didn't actually mean it. Assumed he'd be secure enough to handle it. What would have happened if he'd said the same thing? If he'd said some attractive celebrity was his free pass? I think about this question a lot, and the honest answer is, I would have been hurt. I would have felt inadequate. I would have wondered why he was thinking about other women. I would have read into it, made it mean something, even though I would have told myself it was just a hypothetical. So maybe I'm the hypocrite everyone thinks I am. Work performance has cratered. I make mistakes constantly. Miss deadlines, forget meetings, send incomplete reports. My boss has noticed, everyone has noticed. I got a formal warning last week about performance deficiencies and lack of focus. I'm on thin ice there too. One more major screw-up and I'll be out. And then I'll be unemployed and separated and notorious all at once. That's not a combination you recover from easily. I went back and tried to watch a Timothée Chalamet movie last week. Thought maybe if I could just watch it and feel nothing, I could prove to myself that it was never a big deal, that I never actually wanted him, that it was all harmless fantasy. I couldn't even get through the first 15 minutes. Every time I saw his face on screen, all I could think about was that dinner, my comment, my husband's face going blank, the Sarah message, the aftermath, the ruins of my life. I turned it off and cried for an hour, because he's the reason my marriage is falling apart. Except he's not really, but he's the symbol of it, the avatar of my mistake, the representation of my carelessness. If I'd never developed that stupid crush, if I'd never mentioned him, if I'd just said, I don't really have one at dinner, none of this would have happened. My marriage would be fine. My friendship with Sarah would be intact. My work reputation would be clean. My life would be normal. But I didn't say that. I said his name, with confidence and certainty and zero consideration for how it would sound, or what it would mean, or what doors I was opening that I didn't realize existed. So that's where I am now. 5 weeks after a dinner conversation that seemed harmless at the time. Living in my own house, but feeling like a stranger who doesn't belong. Marriage intact on paper, but destroyed in every way that matters. Job stable, but reputation permanently damaged. And part of me, the stubborn, defensive part that doesn't want to face reality or accept responsibility, still wants to say this isn't fair, that I was just joking about a celebrity, that he took it way too far by involving a real person from our actual lives, that the punishment is wildly disproportionate to the crime, that everyone is overreacting and I'm the victim here. But I'm sitting here alone in what used to be our shared bedroom, trying to remember the last time my husband looked at me with anything other than polite indifference or calculated disappointment, and I can't keep pretending this is all his fault. I can't keep hiding behind excuses and technicalities but I didn't mean it that way. I said free passes were acceptable. I said it confidently, casually, like it was obvious and normal and no big deal. I said it in front of witnesses. I said it with zero hesitation or qualification. I established a rule without thinking about the implications or the reciprocal nature of rules. I opened a door I didn't realize I was opening because I was too focused on what I wanted to say to think about what it actually meant. And when he walked through that door, when he applied my exact logic to someone real instead of someone impossible, I completely lost it. I called him insane. I said he was overreacting. I said it was different. I made up rules and distinctions and qualifications that I'd never mentioned before. I moved the goalposts the second the game didn't go my way. But the truth I've been avoiding for 5 weeks, is that I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. I wanted to be able to publicly fantasize about attractive celebrities, to make it clear I found other people desirable, to establish that I had options and choices, and that my husband should feel grateful I chose him despite finding others more attractive. And I wanted him to just accept all of that with a smile, to never mention finding anyone else attractive, to pretend I was the only woman he'd ever noticed. It wasn't about Timothée Chalamet. Not really. It never was. It was about the pattern I'd established over months, maybe years, the constant mentions, the clips I'd show him, the interviews I'd make him watch, the comments about how attractive I found this actor, how talented, how perfect, making it abundantly clear that I found him so appealing that I'd sleep with him given the chance, even if that chance was purely hypothetical. And my husband, patient, quiet, tolerant, absorbed all of that without complaint. Listened to me talk about another man's attractiveness over and over. Watched me show him photos and videos. Never said a word about how it might make him feel inadequate or replaceable, or like he was my consolation prize, because I couldn't get what I really wanted. Until that dinner conversation, where I said it publicly, confidently, in front of friends, where I made it official instead of just implied, where I gave it a name, free pass, that made the hypothetical explicit. And something in him finally had enough. Or maybe nothing snapped, and he just decided to hold up a mirror and show me what I'd been doing all along. Sarah is real. Sarah is accessible. Sarah exists in our lives in a tangible, everyday way. She's someone I talk about constantly, someone I've shown him photos of, someone I've made clear I value and enjoy spending time with. And by naming her as his free pass, he showed me exactly how it feels to hear your partner say someone else is desirable enough that they'd throw away your relationship for a chance with them. He didn't have to actually do anything with Sarah. The threat alone was enough. The message was enough. The implication that he'd been thinking about her the way I'd been thinking about Timothée Chalamet, that was enough to make his point. I felt exactly what he must have felt listening to me for months. The inadequacy, the jealousy, the fear of replacement, the wondering if I'm enough. But I didn't see it as the same thing because one was a celebrity and one was real. One was impossible and one was accessible. One was safe fantasy and one was genuine threat. Except to him, they felt the same. Both were his partner announcing they'd prefer someone else given the option. Both were public declarations that he wasn't enough. Both were humiliating and hurtful and disrespectful. And now I understand, too late, what I'd been doing. How I'd been slowly eroding his confidence in our relationship. How my honesty about finding other people attractive was actually just cruelty disguised as transparency. How my insistence that he should be secure enough to handle it was actually me demanding he ignore his own valid feelings to accommodate my carelessness. But understanding doesn't fix anything. It doesn't undo the messages, or repair my work relationships, or bring back the friends who've chosen his side. It doesn't restore his trust or affection, or whatever feelings he had for me, before I made it clear he was second choice to a fantasy. I whisper to myself sometimes, lying awake at 3 a.m, while he sleeps in the guest room down the hall. It was just a joke. It was just a celebrity crush. Everyone talks about this stuff. It shouldn't have ended everything. But I know better now. Deep in my bones, in the parts of myself I've been avoiding looking at, I know better. It wasn't just a joke. It was careless disrespect disguised as honesty. It wasn't just a celebrity crush. It was a pattern of making my husband feel replaceable while pretending I was just being real and authentic. Everyone talks about celebrity crushes, but not everyone does it the way I did. Repeatedly, publicly, confidently, without any consideration for how it might affect their partner. My free pass was Timothée Chalamet. Impossible, safe, theoretical, someone I'd never meet. His free pass was Sarah, real, accessible, sitting 3 desks away from me every day, someone who could actually say yes. And in making me confront that difference, in forcing me to feel what he must have felt, he showed me exactly what I'd been doing without even realizing it. The joke is on me. Literally and figuratively. I made a joke, and he made me understand it wasn't funny. I thought I was being playful and honest, and he showed me I was being hurtful and selfish. I thought I was just expressing normal human attraction, and he revealed I was slowly destroying his confidence and our relationship. And now I'm here, in a marriage that's probably over, even if the paperwork hasn't been filed yet, in a job where I'm on probation and everyone knows my personal disaster, in a life that looks nothing like what it looked like 6 weeks ago, with a reputation as either a hypocrite or a wannabe open relationship pusher, depending on who you ask. My work friend won't speak to me. My actual friends have chosen him. My family is disappointed. My boss is watching me closely for any sign I should be let go. My husband treats me like a polite acquaintance. And I did all of this to myself with one confident declaration at a dinner party. All because I joked that my free pass was Timothée Chalamet. And my husband decided to take me seriously. To show me what taking it seriously actually meant. To force me to confront the implications of what I'd said so casually. I still don't know if anything happened with Sarah. and that not knowing is probably the worst punishment of all. The ambiguity, the wondering, the imagining. Every day I see her from across the office and wonder if she knows something I don't, if they met, if they talked, if anything happened, if she's keeping his secret. And I'll probably never know. Because he's not going to tell me, because that would end the lesson. That would let me know where we stand. And instead, he's leaving me in this limbo where I have to sit with my own discomfort, my own jealousy, my own inadequacy, all the things he must have felt when I talked endlessly about how attractive I found someone else. The punishment fits the crime in a way I didn't anticipate. He's making me feel exactly what I made him feel. And it's destroying me. And maybe that means I destroyed him first, slowly, without realizing what I was doing.